Buenas and half a day. The Committee on Rules hereby convenes this meeting. For the record, today is Monday, July 17th, 2017, and the time is now 2:12 p.m. The Core Director, Ms. Janine Cordero, will now call the roll of members.
Legislative Secretary Eugene Bisco-Lee.
Gaiget.
Speaker B.J. Cruz. Vice Speaker Therese Terlahi. Senator Tom Atta. Senator Joe San Augustine. Senator Chelina Nelson. Senator Dennis Rodriguez Jr. Senator Frank Elgin Jr. Senator Michael Sinicolas. Senator James Espaldon. And Senator Mary Torres.
Stu Smasi, Madam Director. Does the Chair hear a motion to excuse members not present? Moved by Senator Uggan, seconded by Speaker Cruz. It has been moved and seconded that members not present be excused. Any objections? So moved. We'll move on to the ratification of the core meeting minutes, and I believe that the meeting minutes for our June 22nd, 2017 meeting is available in your packet, so we'll just give a few minutes for you to take a look at those meeting minutes, and then we'll entertain a motion to ratify the minutes. Senator Uggan moves to ratify the minutes subject to correction, adoption and correction, and Senator San Augustine seconds. Any objection? So moved. We'll now move to the Legislative Secretary's report on the document tracking for Legislature in Guam. 13 appointments have been submitted by the Governor thus far, and all are pending. I'd like to state for the record that 2 appointments have met their potential due dates with no actions by the committee. However, they have been notified and a request for an update via email. 5 zone changes were submitted by the Governor, and all have been approved by the Governor's office. 7 proposed rules and regulations have been submitted thus far. A letter was sent to the compiler of laws regarding affirmation of legislative decision not to act upon for 5 of the 7 items. These items are noted on my report. A transmittal from the Department of Land Management was not approved by the Attorney General due to non-submittal of an economic impact statement as required by 5 GCA. Lastly, a transmittal from the Department of Public Health and Social Services, Division of Environmental Health, governing chemical toilets, has a potential due date of September 19th, 2017, of which the Oversight Chairperson was informed. We'll move on to Committee on Rules.
Madam Chair, can I ask that those letters, when we are rejecting, be sent to all of the members of the Legislature, just for our FYI?
All of the letters for rules and regulations?
Yeah. I can't see it right now, but you said it's referenced here that you sent letters. Was that rejecting certain rules and regs?
Yeah, it's my understanding that the rules are sent to the chairperson who has oversight.
Oh, could we all get copies of those while they're when they're sent?
Sure, I can make a note of that.
Thank you.
No problem. So we'll move on to Reports of standing committee chairpersons. Under old business, there are a number of bills that are listed that are available to be placed on the session agenda. Those are bill numbers 5, 6, both authored by Senator Frank Uggan. Bill number 29 by Senator St-Nicholas. Bill number 34, Senator Atta. Bill number 38, Senator St-Nicholas. Bill number 81, Senator Uggan. And then 2 resolutions, numbers 76 and 107, both authored by Senator St-Nicholas. We also have new business, under new business, bills cleared for the session agenda consideration. And those are Bill number 94 by Senator Tommy Morrison. Bill number 49, as substituted by the committee, authored by Senator Tommy Morrison. Bill number 74 by Senator Atta. Bill number 105 by Senator Atta. 106 by Senator Atta. 107 by Senator Atta. 115 by Senator Atta. 117 by Senator Biscoe-Lee. 118 by Senator Biscoe-Lee. Do I hear any motions to place these items on the session agenda?
Madam Chair.
Senator St-Nicholas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to place Bill number 38-34 under old business on our session agenda. Bill 38 is an act to amend Section 62292 and 62293, each of Article 2, and Section 6301 of Article 3, each of Chapter 6, Title 4, Guam Code Annotated, relative to requiring that all salary and/or class specification appeals be administratively adjudicated before a 3-year review of salary and/or class specification for nurses and other public employees be conducted. I'd like to make a motion to place on the agenda.
Any second? Seconded by Senator or Speaker Cruz. Any objection? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to make a motion to place Resolution 76-34 COR on the session agenda. This is relative to respectfully requesting that Congresswoman Madeline Bergalio pursue via the United States Treasury and the Department of Interior a payment schedule for Section 30 reimbursements that will improve the government of Guam's cash flow position by amortizing such payments in quarterly installments over the fiscal year, beginning with the 3rd quarter of fiscal year 2017. This resolution, just for the record, Madam Chair, was on our prior session agenda, but it was passed on file because I was unable to, at the time, move it on the session floor. I was unwell. However, I would like to request that we place it on the session agenda for this upcoming session.
Any second for resolution number 76? Senator Camacho Torres. Any objection? If none, motion carries.
Lastly, for old business, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to place Resolution 107-34. This is also on our prior session agenda, but it had to pass on file. Relative to establishing a Wheels to Work program to provide Guam Regional Transit Authority bus passes to individuals who are unemployed and are actively seeking work, subject to availability of funds, paid by voluntary contributions from senatorial office budgets, and to direct the Executive Director of the Legislature in Guam to establish policies and procedures for the program.
Is there a second for resolution number 107? Senator Camacho Torres. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Were you wanting to retire old business first, or may I address some new business items?
You can continue.
Senator Tom Atta, on behalf of Senator Tom Atta, he's requesting that the following bills be placed on the session agenda, and he's also requesting that they specifically be placed in this order that I'm about to present as per his communication to me. Senator Atta is first requesting Bill 105-34, as amended by the committee, be placed on the agenda. This is an act to rescind administrative jurisdiction of approximately 3.5 acres of lot number 7054 R5, municipality of Jigo, as shown on Department of Land Management map number 167FY93, granted to the Department of Land Management, and to vest the office of the Chief of Police, Guam Police Department, with administrative jurisdiction of the same. Senator Atta would like to request that Bill number 105-34 be placed on the agenda.
Senator St. Nicholas moves that Bill number 105-34 be placed on a session agenda. Speaker B.J. Cruz seconds. Any objection?
Madam Chair, if I may ask, these bills, I tried to look them up before I came here, and they were just uploaded maybe 20 minutes before the meeting, but they've all been amended by committee. If the committees could just tell us what the amendments are, because I was not able to look them all up.
This is not in my committee, Madam Chair. I'm doing this on behalf of Senator Ada, who isn't present.
I understand. Object to...
I guess I'd just like to ask that for the next meeting, if we could get the bills that, if they're amended, as amended, just a physical copy of them for our meeting, to Committee on Rules meeting, that would help when we're not able to get them, when the committee reports are uploaded, not in advance.
So Bill 105 was moved by Senator St. Nicholas, seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objections? If none, motion carries. Senator St. Nicholas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, on behalf of Senator Ada, he'd like to request Bill number 106-34 be placed on the session agenda. An act to add a new section 61218 to Article 2 of Chapter 61, Title 21, Guam Code Annotated, relative to rezoning Lot Naval Air Station Agana 13 Officers Housing Area from Agricultural Zone A up to Multiple Dwelling Zone R2.
Seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objection to moving Bill number 106 onto a session agenda? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator St. Nicholas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bill number 107-34, as amended by the committee, also on behalf of Senator Ada, an act to rescind administrative jurisdiction of portions of Lot 5R6, Block 15, Tract 2831, Municipality of Talafofo, that are not currently deeded or leased, granted to the Department of Land Management, and to vest the office of the Mayor of Talafofo and the Talafofo Municipal Planning Council with administrative jurisdiction of the same for use as a community garden.
Also seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objection to moving Bill number 107-34 onto the session agenda? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator St. Nicholas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bill number 115-34 is amended by the committee, also on behalf of Senator Tom Ada. An act to rescind administrative jurisdiction of Lot R23, Block 5B, Tract 3241, Municipality of Umatic, granted to the Department of Land Management, and to vest the office of the Mayor of Umatic and the Umatic Municipal Planning Council with administrative jurisdiction of the same.
Do you hear a second? Seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objection to adding Bill 115 to the session agenda? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator St. Nicholas?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And lastly, on behalf of Senator Ada, as amended by the committee, Bill number 74-34, an act to place that land known as Teton Parcel Site T18 under the administrative jurisdiction of the Office of the Mayor of Barrigada and the Barrigada Municipal Planning Council, and to authorize the Office of the Mayor of Barrigada and the Barrigada Municipal Planning Council to enter into a partnership with a nonprofit organization.
Seconded by Speaker Cruz.
I would object, Madam Chair. This committee report was not uploaded before I came to this meeting, and so I would object. It's also a bill to this site T18 that's talked about in this bill is it's a historic property that's eligible for the National Registry, and when the airport was given this property, it signed a covenant that it was going to do certain things regarding its historic, taking care of its historic integrity, and I think we still need to hear from the Historic Preservation Office as to their input on this transfer, and whether this, what needs to be done with this type of property is going to be able to be done without the assistance of the airport. And so I was not aware that the author was going to put this on the agenda, and it's not on, the committee report's not uploaded either, Madam Chair. So I would object.
Would any other member like to speak on bill number 74? Senator Egan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to reinforce the statement by the Vice Speaker. I think that it's very important that the entity that she highlighted provide input in regards to this particular proposal, and until such time that we receive it, or until such time that the sponsor is here to be able to appropriately respond, then I would certainly join in withholding the placement of this piece of legislation on the agenda at this time.
Any other members wish to be heard? On the motion to place bill number 74 on the session agenda, all in favor? We'll just take a vote. All in favor? Motion fails.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That would exhaust the request on behalf of Senator Tom Atta.
Sujas Mahasi. Vice Speaker Terlahi, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, I would move to place bills number 117 on the agenda. It is a bill relative to amending the Guam Family and Medical Leave Act to include job protective bereavement leave to Guam families, as amended by the committee.
Speaker Cruz seconds. Any objection to placing bill number 117 on the session agenda? Hearing none, so moved. Vice Speaker Terlahi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also like to make a motion to place bill number 118-34, sponsored by Senator Regine Bisco-Lee, on the session agenda. Bill 118 is relative to clarifying the employee threshold for coverage under the Guam Family Medical Leave Act.
Seconded by Speaker B.J. Cruz. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Espaldon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move to place Bill 49-34 COR as substituted by the Oversight Committee, sponsored by Senator Tommy Morrison. It's an act to amend Section 5213, Subarticle B, Article 3, Chapter 5, Division 1, Title 5, the Guam Code Annotated, and it is relative to small purchases.
Any second to placing bill number 49-34 onto the session agenda? Seconded by Senator San Agustin. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Madam Chair, thank you for the opportunity to also move Bill 122-34 as substituted by the Oversight Committee, again sponsored by Senator Tommy Morrison and Speaker B.J. Cruz, and that's an act to provide for a binding referendum during the 2018 general election to determine whether amendments to Section 26403 of Article 4, Chapter 26, Title 11 of the Guam Code Annotated, which is relative to incrementally increasing the liquid fuel tax rates for the purpose of funding village road repair and construction projects, shall be approved.
Thank you, Senator Espaldon. Unfortunately, that bill has not been cleared by the Committee on Rules for placement on the session agenda.
Okay, thank you. We'll do that on the floor then. Then, if I may, then, Madam Chairman, I'd like to move Bill number 88-34 COR. Oh, that's also same thing. Yes. May I ask my Oversight Chair, because I understand that these bills are going through the process right now.
Certainly.
That's correct.
Perhaps, and that be including Bill number 90 as well.
It's Bill 88. We had a public hearing on the we had on 63, 64, 65, 88, 122, and 123 is where we had the public hearing.
Okay.
Is there Bill 90?
And Bill 90 as well. That's the GBB for in honor of Mr. Burton Pinko, Mr. Tourism.
On what I've received from St. Dennis, he's identified Bill 112, 113, and
okay.
114. I'm going to save the state that during the opening of our session, during motions, we're going to introduce all these bills that are going through the process right now in the court, to be clear, to include all the nominations that we have. We have a total of 4 nominations that we're going to be addressing. So more than likely that would be also added on. I'll follow up on that. Okay, we have, we start with, because we had a public hearing already on Bill 63, 64, 65, Bill 88. We've already had a session on 112, 113, 114, 122, and 123. So during the...
I also have Bill 24 that's still in your committee as well. I was going to raise that question at the end of the meeting, but Bill 24 has not had a committee report filed either.
That was the one we had the first session on?
Yeah, this is the one for the reporting of the collections, the tax collections report.
Well, all the bills on my committee will be all submitted and cleared. The committee will clear all its bills. It will not hold on to any bills.
Anything else, Senator Espadon, to add to this session agenda?
I'm sorry?
It's been cleared. Any other bills that were cleared by the Committee on Rules that you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to move Bill number 90-34 COR. The chairman's not here, and I'm not really sure if that has the same fate as the previous bill that I mentioned. But that's sponsored by myself, an act to add a new Section 849.13 to Article 1 of Chapter 8, Title 1 of the Guam Code Annotated, which is basically relative to dedicating and naming the Guam Visitors Building as the Norbert R. M. Pinko Building for Mr. Tourism. Again, I understand that's in the Committee on Health, Tourism, and Military Affairs and Senior Citizens. Don't know the status of that bill. It has pending according to my calendar, but I know it has had a public hearing. So I'll just look to you for direction on this, Madam Chair.
Okay, Sujas Masi. There were also a number of nominations that were cleared for session agenda consideration. The appointment of David Arentz to serve as the governor's appointee on the Guam Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors. The appointment of Rebecca A.R. Duenas to serve as Chamorro Cultural Representative for the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board. The appointment of Melanie Rose Mendiola to serve as member of the Guam Port Authority Board of Directors. The appointment of Maria D.R. Taituno to serve as member of the Guam Port Authority Board of Directors, as well as the appointment of Rosanna Villagomez Ugin to serve as a member of the Guam Housing Corporation Board of Directors. Senator Ugin, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to move for the placement of the appointment of Mr. David J. Arentz to serve as the governor's appointee to the Guam Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors, please.
Moved by Senator Ugin, seconded by Senator San Agustin. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
I'd like...
Sorry,
Good.
Vice Speaker Terlahi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move for the appointment of Rebecca Duenas to serve as Chamorro Cultural Representative to the Guam Historic Preservation Review Board.
Seconded by Senator San Agustin. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Senator Ugin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to also move for the placement of the appointment of Melanie R. Mendiola to serve as a member of the Guam Port Authority Board of Directors on the legislative agenda, please.
Seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Senator Ugin.
Thank you very much again, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to move for the placement of the appointment of Maria D.R. Taituno to serve as a member of the Guam Port Authority Board of Directors.
Seconded by Speaker Cruz. Any objection? So moved.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to place the appointment of Rosanna Villagomez Ugin to serve as member of the Guam Housing Corporation Board of Directors.
Seconded by Senator San Agustin. Any objection? Hearing none, so moved. We've exhausted the items listed to be placed on the session agenda. I do want to just make mention on our agenda, it notes the quarterly report of the Legislature, and that report will be filed by Senator Dennis Rodriguez for the next quarter. Finances and operation of the Legislature in Guam.
Are there any other bills that members intend to move onto the agenda? Yes, other than what he listed and what the one that you mentioned? I'm just curious if there are any others.
I had bills 63, 64, 65, 88, 112, 113, 114, 122, 123 by Senator San Augustine, Bill 24 by Senator San Nicolas, and Bill 90. Yes, and Bill 90. Okay, and Bill number 90. Yeah.
What about Bill 139? When you're having a hearing tonight, I guess, no?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to also mention that we have 4 nominees that will be presenting at the session, beginning of the session. That will be the appointment of Eloy S. Lazama for the member of the Guam Memorial Authority Board of Trustee. Also Pete A. Mano for social worker, member of the Guam Board of Social Work. Vincent P. Flores, member of the Department of Parks and Recreation Board. And Cesar L. Garcia to the Guam Banking and Insurance Board. They're forthcoming.
We'll now move to the extension of remarks. The chair opens the floor for further discussion. Senator Uggan.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I understand that we're here specifically to address the legislative agenda and the items that we'll be discussing next week, but I believe we still have some housekeeping activities that we need to complete with regards to the bifurcation of the responsibilities of the former Committee on Rules. And my understanding is that there was a legislative resolution that was circulated, if not last week, the week prior. And if there's any status on that action, because I understand that there are obviously resources that have to be expended out of the legislative budget, and I believe that bifurcation really should be one of the foremost items before there's any expenses above and beyond what is already allocated for personnel and general operations.
Thank you, Senator Uggan. It's my understanding that there are 2 outstanding resolutions that have not garnered the full support or are still awaiting voting. So we're waiting to hear back from a number of our members on both of those resolutions. So we'll certainly update you as soon as we can once we receive the full support for each of those measures.
Numbers are those?
I did want to raise an extension of remarks.
Sure.
About the bifurcation resolution, the need for us to actually address that. Because the standing rules, without any amendments, have language in there that has us operating in a manner that is contrary to the resolution that actually bifurcated the duties, it does create a problem where which rule applies. Because if there is a conflict or an inconsistency, for example, with who has authorization to sign checks, or who has authorization to approve leave or to sign GG1s, if there are 2 different rules in place or authorizations in place, it creates a problem. So we need to figure out how to firmly and finally reconcile that.
Thank you very much. Senator Nicholas, yes. I have called a number of members to find out what their issues were with 164. I can assure you that I'm the one that's signing checks because I've had previous authorization. And just myself and the executive director who have authorization. No one else has been signing checks. I don't know who's been signing leave. But If they're brought to me, I will, but I don't have that authority right now. I know there are some outstanding votes. It's either a yea or a nay, but there are 4 non-votes yet.
Should we consider moving the resolution before the body? Because it would only require a vote of 8. I understand the challenge right now is perhaps there isn't 8 at the table, but perhaps there may be 8 on the floor. So a solution might be to bring the resolution before the entire body.
I think in that particular case, Madam Chair, certainly if this whole resolution for the bifurcation is not adopted by close of business Friday, certainly it would be appropriate to ensure that the entire body has an opportunity to be able to discuss that, because there are conflicting provisions with regards to the resolution that was adopted and sponsored by the Speaker and what is in the standing rules, and we need to ensure that those particular issues are addressed.
Thank you. There's been a motion by Senator Uggan. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Senator Nicholas to move resolution number 164 to the floor. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
Madam Chair.
Senator Espada.
Thank you. We are in closing. Okay, thanks. 2 things. One is 2 of our colleagues, Senator Morrison and Senator Estevez in particular, have asked me just to ask you as Chairman on Rules whether or not you received their letters requesting for a public hearing on their bills that provide for a part-time legislature. And you have received it, and I'll report that back to them. I know that they're looking forward to a public hearing. The other thing, Madam Chair, and I know I talked this told you about it briefly before the meeting, and if I may read a letter that I had written to you. Last week we received a notice that the Committee on Appropriations shall conduct a public hearing on Bill number 139-34, which is an act to approve the terms and conditions of the Guam Power Authority Revenue Bond to refund outstanding Guam Power Authority revenue bonds. Rule 10 of Section 10.02G1 lists as one of the oversight areas of responsibility of the Committee on Housing, Utilities, Public Safety, and Homeland Security items Roman numeral 6, which reads, quote, financing, refinancing, issuance, or reissuance of revenue bonds that will be served solely for the revenues generated by the Guam Waterworks Authority, the Guam Power Authority, Guam International Airport, and the Guam Solid Waste Authority respectively, and not requiring the pledge of the full faith and credit of the government of Guam, the borrowing or line of credit of the government of Guam, or any entity or instrumentality of the government of Guam, unquote. However, Rule number 6, Section 6.01D1 of the 34th Guam Legislature Standing Rules contains a sentence buried halfway through the pertinent subsection that reads, quote, any bills on bonds or of any nature shall be referred to the Committee on Appropriations, unquote. And I bring this matter to your attention as an obvious conflict in the rules that exist, and that requires the immediate attention of the Committee on Rules. At a minimum, one of the subsections must be deleted from our rules. Basically, in essence, for those who may be listening out there, there are two different provisions within our standing rules when it comes to a bond borrowing measure, and the question is, does the bond borrowing measure go to the Oversight Committee, which in this case it is in that rule, or does it go to the Committee on Appropriations, which also is in the rules? So there seems to be a conflict, and I just bring this to your attention and look to you and your committee and the committee to resolve the matter.
This is Responsive Senator Espadon. Once we receive the memo that you're reading from in writing, we can have
Madam
legal
Chair,
counsel.
I'll just give this to you right now.
Thank you so much. We can have legal counsel review it and get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Would any other members like to be heard?
Could we get copies of that memo also, Madam Chair?
No, Madam Chair, just a reminder, it was brought up already on the last session that all bills will be will be heard in order, and it will just be up to the speaker that will decide if he's going to pass one bill and then get to it later. Only because it was agreed that the bills of Senator Ada was to be presented in this order, and that would go in conflict with what already we decided. The speaker will decide and move through the bills and skip the bill when the sponsor is not available yet. And we'll let that decide from that, but not for us to decide to change the order of the bills. Because, Senator Chalai, you're the one that brought that up. It'll be read in order. I just want to make sure that it's understood that the speaker will decide. What I brought up was Bill. Senator Nicholas brought up bills.
We should decide here. I think we should decide here what's the order. Is it the order that we put it on, or the numerical order, and just make a decision?
No. The reason why, Senator Chalai, is that you brought it up on the floor, and it was decided by the body. It'll be in numerical order. But I just like to make sure that we understand that the speaker, even though it was addressed that Senator Tom wanted 105 before 74, the speaker can skip 74 until he's done with the 5 and then bring back 70. We would leave that up to the speaker. But at least it'll be listed in our session as in numerical order. I just want... Oh, okay. But in the event there was a number, it will stay in that sequence. Let the speaker decide that.
Thank you, Senator San Agustin.
Madam Chair, if there's no other business, I make a motion that we adjourn this Committee of Rules meeting.
Do I hear a second? Moved by Senator Espaldon and seconded by Senator Agin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We will now adjourn. The time is 2:49 p.m. to this seat.